So the first question on this assignment says, explain how estimating the product of decimals before performing the actual calculation is helpful. This is very similar to the first question on the last sheet that we did. Can somebody tell me someone tell me why is it helpful to estimate before you actually solve it? You can see if your answer is reasonable. Okay, so yeah, you would say estimating the product of decimals before performing the actual calculation is helpful because, and I'm doing this just for time's sake, you can check to see if your answer is reasonable. Your next question says, when you multiply a decimal greater than 0 by a decimal greater than 1, what do you know about the product compared to the first decimal? I know that you guys don't get it, so let's just actually perform the operation. It says when you can multiply a decimal greater than 0. So give me a decimal greater than 0. Any decimal greater than 0. What? Okay. 0.12. Give me a decimal greater than 1. 4.4. Sure. Let's solve this problem. 8, 4, 0, 8, 4. Add them together. We get an 8 and a 12 and a 1. And so that's a 5. So it's a 5, 2, 8. And where's the decimal point going to be in that problem? You don't have to write, don't be writing this down. We're just doing the problem. Yes. Where's the decimal go, Ashton? Right now the decimal's right here. Where do we have to move it to? Sam. In front of the 5. Because we have 1, 2, 3 places, right? Okay. So then it asks, what do you know about the product, meaning this, compared to the first decimal, this? What can you tell me? Compare those two. Which one's bigger? The product. This one is bigger, isn't it? So it says, what do you know about the product compared to the first decimal? The product is larger compared to the first decimal. Do you see that? Isn't it? Does everyone agree with that statement? Okay. So your answer is, when you multiply a decimal greater than 0 by a decimal greater than 1, the product is greater than the first decimal. Period. I want to see if this is true. I mean, is it always going to be true? When you multiply a decimal that's more than 0 by a decimal that's more than 1, is my answer always going to be bigger than the first decimal? Let's try it. Let's just try. I'm just going to try another one. Let's just see. So I'm going to just go with another decimal that's greater than 0. How about 0.3? And I'm going to say times anything that's greater than 1. How about 4? Because that's a decimal greater than 1, isn't it? So 3 times 4 is 12. And then we're got to move it to one spot. So it's 1.2. Is 1.2 greater than 0.3? Yeah. Sure is. So it's true in that case. Let's just try one more. How about 0.7 times 1.2? 4, and then 7, and we got to move this decimal to there. Still, we got 0.7 and 0.74. Which one's bigger? The product. So it appears that every single time, if you multiply a decimal greater than 0 by a decimal greater than 1, your answer, your product, is always going to be bigger. Okay. Let's go to the next question. The next question says, when you multiply a decimal greater than 0 by a decimal between 0 and 1, what do you know about the product compared to the first decimal? Okay, so give me a number that's greater than 0. Okay, 0.42. Give me a decimal between 0 and 1. Is that between 0 and 1? 98. 0.98. Why do you guys want to be so hard? Why don't we just do like 0.5? I mean, you guys really want to make it complicated, don't you? Why are you trying to make it so hard? Is that between 0 and 1? Yeah. Make a prediction. Make a prediction. Is my product going to be greater than or less than 0.42? It's a prediction. You can't be wrong on a prediction. Well, I guess you could. But it's your prediction. And then we have to see. You think it's going to be less? Okay. Let's find out. What do we got? 5 times 2 is 10. Put a 1 up there. 20. 21. How many places? 1, 2, 3. Right there. So it's 0.210. Uh-oh. You're right, isn't it? Your product is less than the first decimal, or the first decimal is greater than the product. So basically, what I'm trying to teach you, and the point that I'm trying to make, is any time that you multiply something, whether it be 6 or 5 or 243, if you multiply it by something that's less than 1 and more than 0, your answer is always going to be smaller than this. If I multiply this times 0.5, it's going to be 3. If I multiply this by 0.2, the answer is going to be 0.1. Or no, not 0.1. 1, I mean, right? Because it's 10. 5 times 2 is 10. It's 1. Jeez. Glad that was recorded. If I multiply this times 0.3, we have a 9 here, we have a 12 here, we have a 1 here, 7, 72.9. That's less. But if you multiply it by something greater than 1, it's going to get bigger. Do you understand that? Okay. So knowing all of that, what would you say the actual answer to this question should be? Daleen. Okay, very good. When you multiply a decimal greater than 0 by a decimal greater than 1, the product is less than the first decimal. Period. Okay, what I would like you to do for homework is I would like you to complete this worksheet. When you look at 4A, it says in 1980 the average American's whole milk consumption was 6.3 times that of his or her bottled water consumption. Estimate how many gallons of whole milk each American drank in 1980, then calculate the actual answer, write the answer, rounded to the nearest tenth in the table. What? That was a lot of words, so a bunch of you got real confused. The average American's whole milk consumption was 6.3 times that of his or her bottled water. So the whole milk, the number that goes in this place is 6.3 times the amount of bottled water. That's all it's asking you to do. It's asking you to find this answer right there. It's not asking you to find this answer. It's not asking you to find this. It's not asking you to find this or this. It's only asking you to find this one spot right there. That's all. Then it's going to say, for B, it says the average American's whole milk consumption was 1.9 times that of the bottled water. Then you go back to the chart and you multiply this times 1.19. You guys see that? So each one of those questions, you're only performing one operation, okay? And you're going to keep going back to that chart. Does that make sense to you? Question? Once you get your answer, yes, then you round it to the nearest tenth. Whatever answer you get, you stop when you get to the tenths. Actually, you got to make it to the hundredths so you can round it. Okay? Any other questions? All right. That's your homework. Finish it.